Hello, my crafty friends. Well, I did a video where I did some eco dyeing with a steam iron. This is what I cleaned up with. Isn't that pretty? Yeah. It's one of the prettier things I got. And all I did was wipe up the rust water with it. But I wanted to show you the final results of what it looked like, before and after. Each of these that I'm going to show you, except for one, are a package. I did this and put this on top and ironed it, or I put this on top and ironed it, one or the other. And so there's a very big difference between what you get. What I typically did was choose the one I thought had the least color on it, and that's the one I put the rust on. So this one didn't have as much color as this one, but you can see there's not a whole lot on this, and what is there is mostly yellow. But this is what painting the rust water on there did to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint the rust water onto this one to see if it pulls out more, because this definitely pulled out a little bit more color. And we're going to do that in a minute. Same thing here. This was the very first one I did, and it was just on copy paper. This one, I think, this one is on a matte photo paper. It's just a one-sided matte photo paper. So on the other side, it did bleed through, but it doesn't look the same because the oxidation part only stuck on the side, this side. But when I did this one, you couldn't even see the leaves on this one. They were not nearly as noticeable as these. So I'm going to go ahead and put rust on this one too, because this is more colors I like anyway. This one, those two I didn't add any coffee to. These were just alum water. And I sprayed the alum on right before I did it. I didn't let it sit or anything. I just sprayed it on there. This one I added coffee to. And this is the one with coffee. And then this is the one that had the rust and coffee. And so that's what this looks like. This had a better print here than here. So anyway, like I said, I chose to put coffee on the one that had the least good print. This one, I'm going to go ahead, I think, and rust it also. This one I'm not going to rust. I did use coffee. On this one, I only used coffee. I didn't use the alum at all. And this is 28-pound paper. I just used coffee. And then I put the rust on this side. So that one turned out really well. I don't know if it turned out well because I didn't use the alum, which is how I felt the day I did it, or if it turned out well because it was just a better plant to do. Anyway, I'm not going to rust this one. I'm going to leave it like it is. So I'm putting these both over here. This one, I just used coffee on it as well. And it's some rose petals and some rose leaves. And this is the other half of other side of it, of this sandwich that I did put the rust on. Now you'll notice the coffee makes a difference in the color of the rust, because this one wasn't coffeed and this one was. This one is a little redder than this one. But I like this one the way it is, so I'm not going to coffee dye it either. I'm just going to leave those two together. And this one, I went ahead and did both of them. And I had used coffee on these too as well. I can't remember if I used coffee and alum or just coffee. I'm not sure. But I went ahead and put rust on both of these. And they look very, different in color. And it may be the amount of rust I put on them. I'm not sure. This one, I didn't like it. It was bright, bright yellow. And so I just put rust all over the whole thing. But I ended up putting more rust water. And this side it pooled. And where it pooled is where I got this darker part. So that's something to think about. But these were pink roses. Then they were bright, bright, bright yellow, like this, with some little bits of green. But the green wasn't even very much. I'm trying to see if you can see it on that side. And you can't. So I just went ahead and rusted the whole thing. And I'm glad I did, because I probably wouldn't have even kept it the other way. I just didn't like it at all. This is watercolor paper. And it was allumed. I used coffee on the outside. I don't think I put any coffee on the inside. I can't remember for sure. This one, I did use coffee. And I only put rust on one side of it because I wanted to be able to show you the difference between what it looked like before on the watercolor paper and what it looked like after, because it was the only one I had that turned out good on the watercolor paper. And I wanted you to see that it worked good on both papers. But you can see the rust. Of course, I did put more rust on this because it's more water absorbent paper, and it took more rust for it to look coated. But I'll show you why it's hard to tell how much rust you put on it. This one kind of pooled too, which I like. I'm going to leave this one like that as well. And then these I did yesterday, these last ones. And I did these by putting alum on the paper and letting the paper sit for like 15 minutes, and then coming back and spraying it with vinegar water and spraying it with, this one I went ahead and put coffee over. This one I didn't put any coffee on. This one I put coffee on one half and not the other half. So, and then I took the one that looked the least obvious and I put the rust on it. This is dandelion. When I was coming in, I noticed there was this one little dandelion growing in the rubble on the side of my driveway, and it had turned, it was a dark, dark green and maroon. It looked very purpley outside. Excuse me. Okay, I was coughing a little bit, so I had to go fix me some tea. I had some steeping, but that reminded me that I needed to add my stevia and whipping cream to my chai tea and have a little drink. Oh, yum. I don't do hot tea very often, but when I do, this is my favorite kind. It's that TZAOA, Tao, I think, brand. There's caramel chai tea and vanilla chai tea. I don't remember which one this is, but I used 2 tea bags in my big old cup, and then add a little bit of stevia and some heavy whipping cream, and it's very yummy. Okay. Anyway, back to this. That I went ahead and picked that little, because I was hoping I could get some red out of it. I don't know why I hoped that, because it has, the pink roses certainly didn't work. But anyway, I did get some good green out of it, which I didn't expect because it was so dark. But I went ahead and did one. I'm not gonna coffee dye the other side of this one either. I'm just gonna leave it. I mean, not coffee dye it. I did use coffee on this. I mean, I'm not, and I just used it on the outside. While this was a sandwich, I put coffee on the outside of both sides. And then I'm not going to put rust on this one. I'm going to add it to this stack of ones that are, you know, not. Now this one hardly looks like anything. These are English ivy leaves, and I kept hearing people talk about how the ivy leaves always gave them good prints. Well, I didn't get that. This has alum and vinegar, and it barely did anything. And this is the good print. Okay, so I added the rust to this one, and it's a pretty rusty paper, but it certainly doesn't look like an eco print. So I am going to go ahead and put rust on that one. This one was some kind of plant in my mom's front yard, and it had a really thick stem, so I ended up tearing up my paper. So I didn't really care too much about it. It also didn't hardly leave any kind of an print except for an imprint. And you can see that more on this one. It kind of embossed the paper, but it didn't really leave any plant juices or anything behind except a tiny little bit over here and a tiny little bit there. And I don't know if I'll ever even use this one for anything except maybe tearing off pieces to go in collage. But I am going to go ahead and rust this side because I wouldn't probably use it like this. So I have these 5, I think, that I'm going to go ahead and put some rust water on. It's amazing the difference between just the coffee and no coffee. It didn't make a big difference in the way it prints, but it's still a big difference on this photo paper. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put rust on all of these, and I'm going to let you watch. If you haven't seen my other I didn't put rust on them in my other video. I just told you that I was going to. And so this is my rust water. What I did was put some rusty nails and things in here. And these are, all these bits are bits that I rusted in water, vinegar, hydrogen peroxide, and salt the first time that they were rusted. And I put the water, vinegar, and salt in this to make my rusty water. I did not put hydrogen peroxide in this. The hydrogen peroxide just speeds up the business. But it also, when you've got vinegar and hydrogen peroxide, I don't see how any bugs, any, bacteria or anything could live through that. So I'm not worried about this rust water getting on my hands. I just wanted to make clear that it was made with non-rusty things that I rusted on purpose. Although I have to admit, I didn't know until, a few years ago, but the tetanus that people, get from rusty things is not actually in the rust. It's in the dirt around the rusty object. And I didn't know that until recently. So, probably, it was fine anyway. Even if I had just stuck rusty things in here, it would have been okay. I guess that's what I'm saying. Especially since I added probably 1/5 of this container is vinegar and 4/5 of it is water. Well, that's not true, because when I did all those other rusty papers, I used down some of the water, and so I just added regular water to fill it back up so it could make more rusty water. This one looks like it might be going to show more with the rust than the other one did. But I still, the paper's so beat up, but it doesn't look like, like it's got rusty water on it now. It looks even less dyed than when I put the coffee on it, which I find interesting that it has to sit around and dry, you know, before the rusty part does its thing. The oxidation or whatever, it has to be out and about for it to do its thing. And I thought that was interesting, so I wanted to show you that. This is probably the least usable paper of all of them because it's got so beat up trying to get anything out of it. Okay, I'm going to pause a minute and take this one and put it somewhere else. Be right back. Okay, there's some rust water down on the paper, but I'm not going to worry about that because I'm going to add more to it anyway. Sometimes you can see that, you know, it do a little bit with the yellow, even though you don't see the paper turning a rusty color until later. And this is one of those cases where you can see that pretty good. I don't know if you can you see how it's turning things black? Anyway, I don't know enough about all of this to know it didn't feel like, you know, that the soaking the paper in the alum for a longer period of time did a better job. It felt more like it depended on what plants I was using than anything else. Because some of the ones that turned out really good, I didn't use any alum on at all. I only used coffee. So it's just hard to know. But I do know the people I watch who get the beautiful results always have their papers soaked in or sprayed with alum water. So I still think that's probably the best way to do it. I just haven't managed to find, you know, really good stuff to use. The poinsettia worked well and the dandelion worked well. So if you've got those, you've got something you can use. All right, I'm gonna put this one somewhere else and be right back. Okay. I'm interested to see if this gives me anything from these imprints. It didn't give anything except a tiny little speck from the stems on the, you know, papers from the other side of the leaves. So I'm wondering if this side of the leaves will do any better. I don't know. But this is the one with one of the ones I did last night that I used alum and vinegar on. Didn't use coffee on it, but I used alum and vinegar both. It's a good thing I wanted rust on both sides because I'm not cleaning up the mat in between them. I'm just laying them down on that rusty paper. So, I mean, rusty mat. I don't figure it'll hurt anything. Okay, can't really tell a whole lot with this one. There might be a tiny bit more noticeable, but not much. Okay, get a drink. I'm probably the only one in my family, meaning my family I was born into and the one I made with Darren that doesn't like their drink scalding hot. I want it hot, or as everybody else would say, warm. But I don't want it burning my mouth. Anyway, so when I get mine ready to drink, I have to drink it kind of fast. Well, else it gets cold, because I don't like it to, do that either. So I'm a perfect temperature kind of person when it comes to hot tea. This one, you can see these leaves much better after putting the rust on. So that's nice. This is the one that had coffee on it. One of the neat things about using these Dylusions, not Dylusions, I keep saying that. It's not Dylusions, it's Distress oxide sprays on this photo paper is that it becomes permanent, and you don't end up swiping it all over the place when you add your rust water later, which is good, because that means you can make, eco dye prints with the with these inks, and then come back and make them rusty too. But anyway, if you haven't, I'm sure most of you have seen Louisa Heinzel's stuff where she's used the rust water. Not rust water, where she's used the she uses two-sided, double-sided, I guess you would say, double-sided photo paper, which I have ordered some actually, but I don't have any yet. This is just something I got at the thrift store. So one thing I noticed is there is a little bit of red, because that came through like this, the red part did. And I'm going to go ahead and mop this up so you can see, which shows that there is extra dye that comes out of that paper, and you have to wipe that off in order for it to be waterproof. And I didn't do that with that. Well, you can't really tell, but this is a little bit redder than normal rusty water. Anyway, I just thought that was mentionable. Okay, this is the last one we're going to do after I get another drink of tea. It's at that absolute perfect stage right now. Now, if I had this in a spray bottle, I could just squirt it on, but I don't, so. But look at those leaves. Look at those leaves. That is just so much fun. It's like magic to watch those come to life there. Okay, and I am, no, I'm not. That was already before. Never mind. I was going to say I'm getting a little bleeding of the ink here because I didn't wash it off, but actually that was already there, so. Okay, that one's really pretty now. I'll show y'all tomorrow when I live stream with Tanya how this turns out. But you won't see this video probably until after that, because we've got a Same Sex Wednesday video coming out this afternoon, and I don't want to have two videos come out on the same day. You might start to expect things from me. So this one I'll put coming out over the weekend when I won't be, doing anything. So Okay. That looks really pretty just like that, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm really happy with this one. I think it'll be even prettier once the rust takes hold. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you go and play with this stuff. Um, I'm going to make another video soon where I use, I'll show you. I used the photo paper and scraps. These were scrap papers that I laid down on the photo paper. Then I spritzed it all with water and sprayed it with the Distress Oxide sprays. Well, this one I used Forest Moss Distress Spray stain and the Distress Oxide Spray Rusty Hinge. So I'm going to play with that some more in a video. I just did this because I had this stuff sitting here and I thought, oh, I wonder what will happen if I throw those scraps on there. So, and this is the same little HP matte photo paper. It's real thin paper, which I like. I'm going to do it on that, and then I'm also going to experiment on some of the cheap photo paper from Dollar Tree. You get to like 8 pieces in a package of Jot photo paper. It's glossy, and it is and it's thicker. It's more cardstocky, so I don't know how it will work. I know that the technique works on that as far as it becoming permanent, but I'm not sure if it'll do this as well as this other paper. We're going to compare them and see. Anyway, I'm going to go put this away, and y'all have a blessed day. Love you all. Have a wonderful Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.